Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 1 Minute Breakdowns, where we break down each and every fight on the upcoming UFC card in a minute or less. And this week we have an absolute banger. Just looking at this card, I mean, from top to bottom, there are fights that we just cannot miss, and we're blessed to have it. It's going to be very early in the morning, so make sure you check your time zones. It's not going to be at night. It's 7 a.m. my time, but I know I'm going to be up. I know most of you guys are going to be up, and I know we're all going to be cashing some tickets. So really excited to break this event down for you all. And first and foremost, let's go ahead and check out the chat. We have one comment. Shout out to Everett. I appreciate you, my brother. Let's go ahead and make this money. And if you guys haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. Helps out the algorithm a lot. Helps me out a lot trying to grow this channel. And as I go down through these fights, please tell me what you're betting. Tell me what you're thinking is going to happen in these fights, and it'll make this show a lot more enjoyable too. Just interacting with y'all. Shout out to Jenna. Thank you so much, week in and week out. I appreciate you showing the support and love. And you know what? Without further ado, let's go ahead and start off. First fight of the night, we have Bruno Silva going up against Sharaputin Magomedov. Sharabuddin Magomedov is going to be a huge favorite in this spot. He's sitting around minus 270 at the moment. He will be the younger fighter by 5 years. He will also be the taller fighter by 2 inches, and we do not have reach metrics on him. But Bruno Silva, 74-inch reach, fighting out of Evoluciao Thai MMA. So there's a lot of hype behind this guy, Sharabuddin, and I get it. Big Dagestani middleweight. We don't really see too many middleweight Dagestanis out there, and now you're probably looking at him and you're thinking he's probably a good wrestler, chain wrestler with control. Exact opposite. This man is a kickboxer through and through. Primarily only uses kicks, which is something that I did not like to see. His jabs are his kicks, and he's really good in the clinch with his knees and with his elbows, but doesn't really throw too much volume when it comes to punches, which is kind of odd to me. So a little bit one-dimensional. Have not really seen him go for takedowns at all on the regional scene, so you got to throw that out of the window. And we all know what Bruno Silva presents. Someone who's, I mean, with all due respect, very inconsistent in the octagon. Has a lot of power, can shut anyone's lights out, but we have seen him have phenomenal durability performances, like against Alex Pereira, where he took him to a decision. And then we've seen him get hurt by Brendan Allen, who doesn't have the most power in the first round, and get finished there. And also against Gerald Mearshart. Like, what was that? So this guy can't be trusted either. Do I want to lay minus 270 on someone who is making their UFC debut and is primarily just a kicker? Probably not. So it's dog or pass for me, and I'm choosing to pass here. But this guy looks like an absolute villain. I mean, look at his Tapology photo, straight out of Mortal Kombat. I mean, Preston, right on the dot, like a Bond villain, straight out of Mortal Kombat. I'm pretty sure you can get that exact same outfit and make him a character in the game. I wouldn't tell the difference. But moving on, we have Jinyu Fry going up against Victoria Dudakova, another heavy favorite, and that's going to be the theme throughout this card. Victoria Dudakova, upwards of minus 500. She's going to be the younger fighter by 14 years. She will also be a taller fighter by 2 inches and will have a 2 inch reach advantage in the spot. Jinyu Fry has been on the downturn over her past 3 fights, getting finished multiple times. It's not a good look, especially at 38 years old. I think it's her. She's nearing her end in terms of her MMA career. Victoria Dudakova is someone who is up and coming. Her hands are not all that. She definitely can improve in the stand-up game, but where she excels is the takedowns and in the grappling. I think if Victoria Dudakova gets Jinyu Fry down, although Jinyu Fry is supposed to be a brown belt, sorry, I think Victoria is going to be able to advance position here and probably find a submission of her own, if not a TKO ground and pound stoppage. So my prediction here is Victoria Dudakova inside the distance, probably round 2 or round 3. Next fight, we have Nathaniel Wood going up against Muhammad Naimov. Nathaniel Wood, another big favorite, around the minus 350 range. He will be the older fighter by 1 year. He will be the shorter fighter by 3 inches and will be given up 1 inch in reach. Now, both guys very, I'm not gonna say similar game plans, but Naimov, if he can't get the takedowns, he tends to struggle. He does throw some heat on the feet and has really decent power. Last time out, we saw him against Jamie Malarkey, and that's up a weight class. Took Malarkey out in the third round, but he was getting dominated through and through in the first and second, and even in the third round until he found the knockout. Nathaniel Wood, someone who's really fast, darts in and out of range, can really piece people up and stay away from the heavy shots. Now, durability concerns for Nathaniel Wood for sure, just because moving up a weight class here from 135, it's not his first time, but I don't think this is the weight class for him. I think he belongs at 135 bantamweight. But he's shown that he's able to go toe to toe with some of these fighters like Andre Fili. So I think he'll be fine here. I think the Thai inside trips will be money for him. And also, I think Nathaniel Wood is just a much better striker than Naimov. I have sources that tell me that Naimov is struggling with this weight cut, and he was cutting water weight as early as 2 weeks ago, which is never a good sign. So I like Nathaniel Wood here. Probably get it done by submission inside the distance. Next up, we have the Twitter talk of the week. We have Anshul Jubli going up against Mike Breeden. Anshul Jubli is a huge favorite at minus 350, 400 at some places. He's the younger fighter by 6 years. He'll be the taller fighter by 2 inches and will be given up an inch in reach. Um, Listen, I know I posted that thing on Twitter about who's betting Anshul Jubli at minus 400, and this is what I meant behind it. You don't want to bet minus 400, which is like an 80% implied probability, on someone who has only had one UFC fight, does not have a proven game plan or strategy that can win minutes consistently. And we really don't know anything about this guy. He's been facing cans on the regional scene, and he faced a can in his debut, with all due respect. So laying minus 400 on this does not make sense long term. You will not be a profitable bettor if you're laying minus 400 on someone like Anshul Jubli. On the other hand, Mike Breeden sure got knocked out 2 months ago. Fought a decently close fight to Natan Levy. You're gonna have to take the dog money here. You have to. Mike Breeden sure is not the most promising talent in the division, not the most athletically gifted guy in the world. Missed weight, but still, he's not going up against someone who has some upside to him. This is Anshul Jubli. So you got to take the dog money. It's dog or pass. I cannot lay minus 400 against Anshul Jubli if my life depended on it. I would never do it. Next up, so we have Cedric Dumas going up against Abu Azaitar. Dumas is going to be the younger fighter by 9 years. He'll be the taller fighter by, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches. And he'll be at a 3-inch reach advantage here. So in this fight, we know what Abu Azaitar presents: heavy power in the stand-up, but it tends to gas out quite a little bit. Does not really show too much when it comes to the grappling, and can be controlled on the mat. Dumas, sure, last fight against Brundage didn't really tell us much, but has the range, has the height, and the youth. I think he's the more athletic fighter in this matchup too. Obviously, the younger fighter too. He's either going to shut Abu Azaitar's lights out, or he'll probably grapple him to a decision. My prediction for this fight is the Dumas submission. You can find a pretty wide line. Let me see what the line is for Dumas submission right now on Bet Online, because I think in the grappling realm, Azaitar is dead to rights. Dumas by submission is plus 350. I don't like it just because that's Bet Online price, and they usually really give you shitty prices when it comes to props. But if you find it at a better price on FanDuel or on DraftKings, I would look towards that if you don't want to play the money line. But yeah, I predict Dumas to win inside the distance here and to continue this 2-fight win streak. Let's check out the chat. Shout out to Kristen. Thank you so much for supporting. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Jenna and Joseph. I'm glad to have you here, man. What's up? You excited for this card? Next up, we have a fighter that's very dear to my heart. We have Victor Henry going up against Javid Basharat. Javid Basharat is going to be the younger fighter by 8 years here. He will be the taller fighter by 2 inches and will have a 1-inch reach advantage. So Victor Henry, I know this guy personally. He's a hometown kid, and I shouldn't be saying kid. He's much older than me, but I respect him a lot, and I think his game is very underrated, especially in this spot. I think Javid Basharat presents a lot of threats when it comes to the grappling, but people forget that Victor Henry is an insane scrambler and can definitely scramble and find himself in an advantageous position, especially in this fight where Javid is more of a control grappler than a submission grappler, I would say. In the stand up, I think Victor Henry is going to present a lot of problems for Javid. He throws a lot of volume, he lands a lot of volume, and he won't back down. He has never shown any durability issues in the past, even though he's 36, getting up there in age. I just think minus 600 on a guy like Javid Basharat against a dog like Victor Henry is no good. Minus 600, that's finish equity right there, not decision. So we're in a fight where it's likely to go to decision. You got to take Victor Henry here plus 3.5. Got to just bank one round on all three judges' scorecards and you hit that bet. But yeah, I really like Victor Henry in this spot. I think he's being overlooked big time. I just talked to his strength and conditioning coach too, and everything looks good. So I'm not going to say too much there. I really can't. But yeah, give me Victor Henry. Next up, we have one of my favorite fights on the card. Trevor Peek going up against Muhammad Yahya. Trevor Peek, Junkyard Dog. We all seen him on my channel when I interviewed him after his first UFC win. That was huge. He will be the younger fighter by 1 year here. Both fighters are 5'9", same height, and he'll be giving up 3 inches in reach. Trevor Peek is known to have elite durability and reckless abandon for his own chin. He will go out there and try to take you out, and if you don't take him out, I'm pretty sure you're probably going to get laid out. Muhammad Yahya has some decent striking, decent power, but the one issue I saw on tape with him is he does not like it when he's being pressured, and he tends to lower his hands when he gets pressured. His durability, I've seen him get hurt a couple of times on the regional scene, and that doesn't spell well against a guy like Trevor Peek, who's going to be coming forward. He's going to put you on your back foot, where Yahya is not comfortable on the back foot, and I just think Peek is going to shut his lights out in round 1 or in round 2. Give me Trevor Peek via hammer fist, tomahawk punch. Let's check out the chat before we move on to the next one. Hell yeah. Come on now. Listen, so I train Muay Thai, kickboxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, pretty much everything with a bunch of fighters all over the regional scene at CSW and then also at the random UFC gyms here in Costa Mesa. And I also do coach a lot of fighters and watch tape for them. I did tape for Victor Henry against Tony Gravely. I've done tape for the likes of Shane Burgos, Solomon Renfro, guys like that all over the PFL, and Trevor Peek actually. So much love to all the guys that I've worked with in the past and will be working with in the future. But yeah, that's my background. Next up, we have Tim Elliott going up against Muhammad Makhachev. Tim Elliott is going to be the older fighter here by 13 years. Both fighters are 5'7", and Tim Elliott will be giving up 4 inches in reach. I think this is old school versus new school passing of the guard. I think Muhammad Makhachev, unless the knee injury really messed him up, I think he should be fine here. Probably go to the wrestling, find a lot of control time, wear Tim Elliott out. And Tim Elliott is an excellent scrambler. I'm not going to take that away from him. But the issue is he scrambles and scrambles and scrambles. And then once he starts to gas out, he gives up a lot of submissions. If you look at his record, which I'll pull up right over here, he has given up a grand total of 5 submission losses, which account for 42% of his losses. And Makhachev, sure, a lot of decision wins, 3 wins by decision, but most of his wins are by submission. He has 5 exactly. So in this spot, I obviously don't want to lay minus 600 with Muhammad Makhachev, even though he's really good. But I do think that Muhammad Makhachev by submission is a good look. I got it earlier in the week at plus 190. I'll give that bet out for free. And I just think he gets it done by submission one way or the other, whether it's second or third round. That's my prediction. But yeah, give me Makhachev by sub for the boys and the girls. Jenna, you already know my DMs are always open. Feel free. I'll be freaking down to talk jujitsu anytime. Yep. I hope it's okay. You know what? I mean, I don't think this is the fight that Tim wins, but he is a junkyard dog. You have to respect it, and you have to respect his grit in there. Next up. Oh, yeah, Jenna, they are open. 100%. Next up, we have Said Nurmagomedov going up against Marwin Gafarov. Said is going to be 4 years older than Moeen in this spot. He'll be an inch taller and will have 2 inches of reach on him. Said Nurmagomedov, where do we start? He was one of the first Dagestanis to show us an elite striking acumen rather than the wrestling. But it doesn't mean he can't wrestle either. Said can go to the wrestling and find submissions of his own too. But primarily, this guy is an insanely accurate and sharp striker, technical striker with all uh, what's I'm thinking of it in Arabic, but with all emphasis of the word. And Moin Gafarov is a power ball. This guy throws power from bell to bell. Does tend to gas out, but he does prove that he can fight through it. The one issue with him is when he does not get his takedowns, he starts to wilt and throw a little bit too wild for my liking. And against a guy that's as technical as Saeed, I think that spells a lot of problems. And when Moeen shoots sloppy, what is Said Nurmagomedov known for? He's known for those slick front chokes. And I see this playing out more often than not where Muin Gafarov finds some success in round one, fails some takedowns leading into round two, and then finds himself in a guillotine or a Darce choke or an anaconda. Said Nurmagomedov is just too good with it. And even when he looked like he was dead to rights against Said Yakub Kakramanov, what happened there? One mistake, literally one mistake, found that chin submission. So all signs point to Said submission for me. Said inside the distance. And yeah, I really like the spot for Said Nurmagomedov. Next up, we have Ikram Aliskerov going up against Warley Alves. Ikram Aliskerov is going to be the younger fighter by 2 years. He'll be the taller fighter by 1 inch, and then he will have 4 inches of reach on Warley Alves. Warley Alves, a young vet, is what I'm going to describe him as. A lot of fights in the UFC, and he can throw some heavy power. But the issue is he's quite undersized for the division. I know it's not too much of a difference between the two, but 5'11" versus 6 foot. But you look at the physiques, Aliskerov is much leaner than Warley Alves. Warley Alves does have some fat on him going into this fight, and he looks a little bit fluffy because it's not the division that he's used to fighting in. So I think on the feet, Alves could present some issues just because Aliskerov against Phil Hawes, he was getting touched up before the eventual knockout, but that's Phil Hawes. I mean, Phil Hawes' chin has proven to fail him time and time again in the UFC here. I think what Aliskerov is going to do is probably take him down and get a Kimura trap, find a Kimura, or just submit him with a via rear naked choke here early on, whether it's round one or round two. I just think this is just Aliskerov sub. It has it written all over it. A lot of submission looks for me in this card, but I'm sure we'll get to some knockouts. But yeah, I think Aliskerov inside the distance is my prediction by submission. Next up, Jenna, I got you with the answers. You got questions and I got answers. We have Magomed Ankalaev going up against Johnny Walker. Ankalaev, heavy favorite here around minus 400. Both fighters are 31 actually. He'll be shorter than Johnny Walker by 3 inches and will be giving up a whopping 7 inches in reach. I hate to say it because, man, Johnny Walker is one of my favorite fighters, just entertainment-wise, but his chin is just not there. It's been a while since it's been touched, but I think this is the time where it gets touched again. Ankalaev, too technical of a striker for Johnny Walker, and Johnny Walker tends to leave a lot of openings on the feet. I can't trust him here. I think Ankalaev KO1 is the spot. I'll be looking at different books, or if I can have people in Vegas that I know bet that KO1 for me with FanDuel or DraftKings, because it's gonna be a better number. If I check on Bet Online, Ankalaev KO1 is plus 265. That's absolutely disgusting. So I'm staying away from Bet Online when it comes to that prop, but I do think that's what happens. So give me Ankalaev by knockout in round one. Co-main event of the evening, we have Kamaru Usman going up against Khamzat Chimaev. This was originally supposed to be Khamzat Chimaev going up against Paulo Costa, but Paulo Costa had a nasty infection on his elbow, had to have surgery, and that surgery, that surgically repaired elbow opened up, the wound opened up, and got pulled out. Nonetheless, we get a better fight, in my opinion. Khamzat Chimaev, the younger fighter by 7 years in this spot, the taller fighter by 2 inches, and will be giving up 1 inch in reach to Kamaru Usman. I mean, I'm not gonna put too much stock into that video that really visibly like seemed apparent that Kamaru Usman said that something popped with being his knee when he was doing the open workouts. And I'm not gonna put too much stock into it, but still, it's something to keep in mind. I still think Khamzat Chimaev probably finds a submission inside the distance here. I know this is the first time he goes up against a real wrestler, but a wrestler who is far past his physical prime. I'm not going to say mentally prime, but his knees have been shot. We've heard that excuse time and time again. He still goes out there and performs, but up a weight class, 15 pounds heavier than what he's usually fighting at, against an absolute killer in Khamzat Chimaev. I know MMA math doesn't work. Like, okay, Kamaru Usman beat Gilbert Burns in the first round by knockout. Burns took Chimaev to a very close decision. MMA math doesn't work like that, but I can't go towards Usman here. All signs point to Khamzat being the favorite here, and I think this is a fight where Kamaru Usman is coming just to get paid. He's probably getting a big bag for this one, like $1 million plus, I'm talking. And yeah, I hate saying that about fighters, but it just seems apparent. He's trying to hide that knee injury. Him and Gaethje were responding to the videos and the tweets 20 minutes after it happened. Come on now. You don't stop a workout abruptly and go straight to Twitter to deny it just so you can save your paycheck. It's kind of apparent now. Calling a spade, give me Khamzat Chimaev inside the distance pretty confidently. And last but not least, we have the main event. We have Islam Makhachev going up against Alexander Volkanovski on short notice. This was supposed to be Charles Oliveira, but we all know what happened there, the cut over the eyebrow. And it's unfortunate that we don't get to see that. But Makhachev will be the younger fighter by 4 years. He'll be the taller fighter by 4 inches, and he will be giving up an inch in reach, which is absolutely ridiculous. We all know what happened the first fight. It was somewhat close. I did score it for Islam, and I think it's going to be a similar outcome where Islam wins, but I think he finishes Alexander Volkanovski inside the distance by submission. It's tough to cut that much weight from 186 to 155 in that short of time, and we saw it in the physique compared to the first fight between the two. Alexander Volkanovski was much more ripped in the first fight. Showed up to the scales this time out. You don't even see a definition of abs anywhere. And he's coming off of a arm surgery, which he got cleared for in early September. That's just a month ago. I'll sign Spell and Islam Makhachev finish for me. I think he can dominate the wrestling here, especially in Abu Dhabi. No longer flying to enemy quarters there in Australia. It's a completely different game here. I just think Makhachev is going to be able to control Volk, probably tire him out just because of the huge weight cut in 10 days and the surgery. He probably was not peaking for this camp just because it was only 10 days. Sure, he might have been working out, but it's not the same. Going up against someone like Islam Makhachev, who could be pound for pound best fighter in the world right now, you don't want to step in on 10 days notice. You want to be fully prepared. But I got to respect Volkanovski for the balls to do this. but give me Islam Makhachev in what I think is an underpriced line. But yeah, Volk is definitely game, and I respect him a hell of a lot for this. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed those breakdowns. If you haven't already, please leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. I will be back next week with another episode of 1 Minute Breakdowns. Oh, wait, next week I don't think we have fights, do we? Sadness. Let me check this out. Oh, we don't have fights next week. Again, sadness. I'll be back the week after for another episode of 1 Minute Breakdowns. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up in the DMs on Twitter. Much love to all of you guys for being active in the chat. Jenna, I appreciate you too. And let's all make some money tomorrow. How about that? Early morning paychecks. See y'all later.